What's going on, my YouTube comic book and anime family? And today we are back, and I'm going into more of a deep dive on could the Saiyan race withstand a full assault from Viltrum. But before I do that, cue the intro. What's going on? Now look guys, if you follow my TikTok or my Instagram page, you already know how I feel about this debate. And once again, if you're not following those two pages, you're really missing out. And I also covered this in my last video on this channel, but I really didn't go into a deep dive on what the Viltrumites can do and why they would win. But I'm also going to cover what the Saiyans can do and why they're at a little bit of a disadvantage. Okay, so first of all, we have to establish this. I'm not talking about the current Goku and Vegeta. That's number one. I'm talking about the Saiyan race at the time before Frieza invaded. We first have to establish how strong the average Saiyan is and how many warriors they have at their disposal. And we also have to go over their powers and abilities. Now look, unless you're living on the rock, you already know what the Saiyans can do, but just in case you don't, I'm going to go over it now. The Saiyan race has superhuman strength, speed, and durability, and depending on their power level, some of them have the capabilities of even destroying a planet. They also can turn into a giant monster known as the Great Ape once the full moon is out. But depending on their training and power level, this can come at the cost of their intelligence. But if they are above a certain power level like Bardock or Vegeta, they will be in complete control of their transformation. And if you cut off their tail during or before their transformation, they'll revert back into their normal form. Also, a natural full moon really doesn't have to occur. They can use an energy ball to condense the planet's atmosphere to be able to create a kind of fake moon to be able to force the transformation. And this transformation amplifies their natural power by 10 times. So now let's talk about how many warriors they have at their disposal. So at this time at Planet Vegeta, they had a population of about 10,000. And out of these 10,000 people, they were divided up into classes of warriors. And that was Elite Warrior Class, Mid Warrior Class, and Lower Warrior Class. And each class was based on power level. Low Warrior Class had a power level between 1 and 2,500. Mid-Class Warriors had a power level from 2,500 to 7,500. And Elite Warrior Class was anything 7,500 or above. At the time that Frieza invaded, there were only two elite warriors, and that was Vegeta and King Vegeta. Vegeta as a child had a power level of about 7,500, while King Vegeta's power staggered at 10,000. This made King Vegeta the strongest Saiyan at the time during the invasion. And as for middle-class warriors, there was only 10 on the entire planet of Vegeta, with Nappa being their bald and deadly leader, with his power level sitting at 4,000. Now as for lower class warriors, which is pretty much the rest of Planet Vegeta, Raditz was considered a lower class warrior and his power level was sitting at 1,500. But to even be considered a warrior in Saiyan society, you have to have a power level of at least 1,300. The reason behind this is because they use Cybermen to train, and a Cyberman's power level is at 1,200. So here's the part where we have to do a little bit of math. We have to calculate the average power level of a lower class warrior, mid-class warrior, and we don't have to do it with the elite warrior class because there was only two. That was Vegeta and King Vegeta, and we already know their power levels. So as stated before, the elite warriors power levels was 10,000 and 7,500. Once again, that was Vegeta and King Vegeta. Now for mid-class, the average number between 2,500 and 7,500 is 5,000, which is crazy because Nappa may have been the highest in rank, but he definitely wasn't the highest in power level apparently. So that means on average, the other 9 warriors other than Nappa had a power level of about 5,000. In terms of lower warrior class, the average between 1 and 2,500 is about 1,250. This means Raditz was only 200 power level points stronger than your average Saiyan. Let me correct myself, 250 power points stronger than your average Saiyan. What do all these numbers mean? I'm glad you asked. From watching Dragon Ball Z, a lot of people tend to think that every Saiyan can blow up a planet, and that every Saiyan has this insane amount of firepower just like Goku and Vegeta does. But this definitely is not the case. To put it in perspective, to be able to destroy a planet in Dragon Ball Z, you need a power level of at least 10,000. That means at this time, the only person that was even capable of a planetary feat was King Vegeta. That means all the other Saiyans were either moon, country, or town level. And also, once again, there are only 10,000 Saiyans. So now let's look at the Viltrumites. The Viltrumites are an alien race from the planet Viltrum, and they have all the standard superhuman powers. They have vast superhuman strength, speed, and durability, and they're also able to fly and hold their breath in the vacuum of space. These guys are also insanely durable. They can survive for prolonged periods on the surface of the sun, be able to have holes punched in them and still be able to regenerate, and also be able to take hits from Planet Buster level characters. Now, in order to figure out how strong the average Viltrumite is, we have to look at some of the strongest Viltrumites. And the character with by far the most feats is Omni-Man. Now, look, I can go ahead and name a lot of the stuff from the TV show and also the comic book. Like him being able to lift well over 100 tons, being able to stop a meteor the size of Texas from hitting the earth. But his most significant feat, and by far the one that no one talks about, is him being able to fight this guy. Supreme. Now, before I tell you why Supreme is important, let me tell you what he can do. Supreme has enough force to be able to punch an enemy through a planet or even tear the planet apart with his bare hands. He can also lift entire cities made of gold, and his fighting speed is well above the speed of light. He even physically overpowered and beat up a being known as Suprema, and she's so powerful that she lifted an entire universe with her bare hands. She even stated that he's physically superior to her in every way. Oh, but I'm not finished. His body is even able to adapt while it's fighting. Very similar to Superman's Doomsday, meaning that while you're in the process of battle and you're fighting Supreme, his molecules adapt to be able to beat you. But his ability is somewhat more powerful because he doesn't need to die in order to achieve this action. He also has heat vision like Superman, which is said to be hotter than the surface of the sun. And he's also a physical equal to a being known as Gladiator. Gladiator physically is one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe, who is a beyond planetary threat. He can also rip black holes apart with his bare hands, destroy planets and moons. He also survived the blast that was capable of destroying an entire solar system. And he stated that Supreme was his physical equal, that their fight would have lasted for days and would have destroyed worlds. And I bet you're asking why this is important. Because Omni-Man fought Supreme to a standstill. And this wasn't two superheroes fighting in a normal sense, this was a battle to the death. So him being able to fight a being like this is well above King Vegeta level. And with Omni-Man being able to destroy a planet with ease like this, it actually puts him on the same level as King Vegeta if he was in Dragon Ball Z, which means his power level would be 10,000. And King Vegeta is definitely not multi-planet level, because it states in Dragon Ball Z that you need to have a power level of at least 10,000 to be able to destroy a planet, and King Vegeta's was sitting right at 10,000. But what I hear a lot of people bringing into this argument is this scene right here, when King Vegeta destroys these 3 planets with ease. So a lot of people are going to argue and say that would naturally make his power level 30,000. But however, they would be wrong, because Vegeta is said to be stronger than him in the Saiyan Saga, and his power level is only at 18,000. We don't know what size those planets were, or even if they were planets, because a lot of planets in the solar system have multiple moons. And the numbers of Dragon Ball Z just don't support him being a multi-planet level threat. So if Omni-Man physically is capable of destroying a planet, that puts his power level at 10,000. So Omni-Man is about 2 times stronger than your normal Viltrum. You know this because he fought 2 Viltrumites at the same time, and he was able to hold his own for a very prolonged period of time. So this naturally would mean that the average Viltrumite warrior's power level is sitting at about 5,000. This means that there are 3 billion Viltrumites with power levels that are over Nappa's. And the reason that we know this is because during the war, all Viltrumites were trained to be warriors. The whole point of the war on Viltrum was to be able to burn out the weak from their society and to make everyone on the planet a capable warrior to be able to serve the Viltrum Empire. Also, Viltrumites on Viltrum rarely reproduce because they live for such a significant period of time. And the older they get, the stronger they get. And up until Mark, we haven't met a Viltrumite on Viltrum that's pure-blooded, that's under 1,000 years old. And there are also Viltrumites on Viltrum that are stronger than Omni-Man, Thrag being one of them. Thrag is about 4 to 5 times stronger than Omni-Man, and we've seen him demonstrate this on multiple occasions, because every time these two have fought, he's gotten either one-shotted or bodied. But the Saiyan Warrior's 2 greatest weapons against the Viltrumites are their ki and their ability to transform into the Great Apes. But their ki would not be an effective level for all the lower power warriors. Because commonly in Dragon Ball Z, if your power level is significantly higher than your opponent's, the ki blasts tend to have no effect, or you're able to dodge them or shrug them off relatively easily. And your power level has to be significantly higher than someone else's in order to one-shot them. So the only people that will potentially be able to do this is King Vegeta. Now moving on to their Great Ape transformation, the Saiyans rarely use this at all. They didn't even use this to fend off the invasion against Frieza. But let's say that they did use this against the Viltrumite Empire and that every Saiyan transformed into a Great Ape. Viltrumites move at the speed of light. They would be way too slow to even be able to hit them. And on top of that, it's only inevitable that one of the Viltrumites lands a clean hit on their tails and realize that that's their weak point. Also, the transformation takes way too long and it leaves them vulnerable to attack. With the Viltrumites' numbers, strength, and ability, and also battle tacticians, I think that this fight is pretty one-sided. All they have to do is pretty much keep King Vegeta busy with Conquest, Thrag, and Omni-Man, really just Omni-Man, and the rest of their forces will easily overwhelm their planet. If you look at the Great Apes' power levels, this match really becomes unbalanced. Because if all the lower-class Saiyans transform into the Great Apes, that means that their power level will be sitting at 12,000. And if the average Viltrumite's power level was at 5,000, that means it would only take 3 Viltrumites to be able to take these Great Apes down. Because, once again, 90% of the planet are lower class warriors. And you can take the same logic and apply it to the mid warriors and even the 2 elite warriors, Vegeta and King Vegeta. Because even though it might come to heavy casualties, the Viltrumites have them outnumber 1,000,000 to 1. But look guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you did not enjoy this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.